Alright, day 8, game number 20. Crash Bandicoot The Huge Adventure on the Game Boy Advance. I'll do new game. In a lot of Crash Bandicoot games, you would actually want to hit load game and then just back out of the menu because that would skip the first cutscene. But you skip the first cutscene just by pressing start in this game, so it doesn't really matter. This game, in terms of difficulty, familiarity, and length, it's a pretty good game for all three of those categories. I used to speedrun this game back in the day, so I'm pretty familiar with all the levels and how everything works. It's not a super difficult game. There's maybe a couple tricky parts later in the game, but nothing too bad. There's really only one part I can think of where I would like actually dread doing it. But it's literally like one jump that can be very annoying. And in terms of length, it's I think it's only 4 worlds compared to usually in a lot of Crash Bandicoot games it would be 5. So 4 worlds, 5 levels each. That's just 20 levels. I would restart if I were doing an actual run, because I do want 3 Aku Akus for a later level, but it doesn't matter. Just for trying to beat the game. It's not like I won't be able to pass that section, it just might take me a little longer. I actually do think this game is really good. It's obviously not as in-depth as a 3D Crash game, because there's no way the Game Boy Advance could do that, but as far as the 2D platformer goes, it's pretty fun. It contains the box collecting mechanics that original Crash Bandicoot games had. And the movement's pretty good. It's not super in-depth, it is kind of just slide and jump. But it still is pretty fun. Okay. And then if I do end up getting a game over, it's not punishing at all. It's just gonna be, restart the level, I'm pretty sure. I'm not too worried about that. I'll have to see, though. It's been a while since I've played this game. So I'll need to see how my muscle memory helps me with these sections. Because these sections are... There's 3 of them in the game. And honestly, these sections are probably some of the hardest. Definitely the hardest thing in the game is these sections. There's one in the 3rd level of this is actually, like, can be crazy difficult. Just because it's so hard to see what's in front of you. You do not get much vision, and there's, like, just a ton of parts where you need to do a bunch of jumps in a row. Probably should have, I'll go back for it. Why not? That'll be useful in the next level. I think really my only problems with this game there's a couple of unfun levels. Though I wouldn't really say that the hard snow levels are that bad. They're only bad if you don't know what you're doing. if you do know what you're doing and you kind of know the layout, it's not that bad. It's really just the water levels are kind of boring. I depended on a double jump there, but I do not have double jump unlocked, so I don't know why I did. Yeah, this is where I would really like to... I guess... I don't know, a normal run you may just damage boost through there, but it's not that bad. But then there's also some sky levels later in the game. That they're pretty much, other than World 1, there'll be one per world. And they're just really long auto-scrollers that are just super boring. Which is, I think, something later Crash Bandicoot games kind of got wrong, that I think is what, to me, makes Crash 2 the best Crash game. Later Crash games, especially Crash 3, like, just really have way too many gimmicks in every world. And a lot of the gimmicks just aren't as fun as the on the ground levels, you know? It's like, I get switching up the gameplay, but sometimes you don't need to. I mean, the basic strat for Dingodile, though, he's probably one of the few bosses that actually has just some sort of strategy to make him faster. You just want to stay behind him, because if you stay in front of him, he will start shooting missiles upwards. But if you stay behind him, he's not going to shoot any missiles until the one that breaks his shield. And then Phase 3 is kind of the same as Phase 2, except there's another shark. One extra shark is the only difference. I could damage boost to hit him like slightly earlier, but gonna make it easier on me if I keep as many Aku Akus as I can, especially for a level like this. Weird though that they would put the next snow level so close after the first, but I guess to be fair, the thing about it is you can pick whatever level you want in any order, like in every other Crash game. I just tend to do them in order. So if I didn't want to play this so soon after the last one, I could save this for last in the world, but best just to go ahead and get it out of the way. It's interesting, that hit me, but I didn't destroy it. There's a little bit of weird collision on some of the objects in this game, like these smashy things. If you jump into the bottom of them, even though it didn't smash you, it will still damage you. So you want to be careful not to do a bunch of slide jumps in that direction. And here's the first sky level, which again is just an auto-scroller. There's one thing that's interesting about the GBA Crash games. There are two main GBA Crash games. Also, there's really no reason I have to break these boxes. I just kind of like to do that sometimes, because that tells me where I am in the level. But there's two main series Crash Bandicoot games on the Game Boy Advance. There were others, but those are either spin-offs or just in different series. So like Crash Purple is more of a minigame collection than it is a platformer. Crash of the Titans was, obviously Titans era was a very different era of Crash Bandicoot, and then You have Nitro Kart, which obviously was a spin-off, which I do need to look in, because I'm definitely going to do console Nitro Kart at some point in this challenge, because that game's pretty short. I need to look into Game Boy Advance Nitro Kart. I don't know how long that is. But it couldn't be any longer than the console version, right? So the two main series Crash Bandicoot games on Game Boy Advance were this game, Huge Adventure, and then its sequel, Crash 2 Entranced. So Crash 2 Entranced is not a GBA version of Crash Bandicoot 2 on PlayStation. It is a sequel to Huge Adventure. That's why it's called Crash Bandicoot 2. And that's why it has a different subtitle from PS1 Crash 2. But it's really interesting that this one is the first in the GBA series, and then you have Crash 2 Entranced, called Crash 2, because this game actually takes a lot of inspiration from Crash 2, whereas Entranced takes a lot more inspiration from Crash 3. This game has a lot of similar themes to Crash 2. You've got the jungle levels, you've got the sewer levels. This is very similar to like the rocket ship or the jetpack levels in Crash 2. You have the snow levels that also have riding the polar bear. There are space levels later in the game, but only later in the game. They don't appear early on, similar to Crash 2. I guess the only thing that's really more inspired off a different Crash game would be the water levels, because there are no... I don't think there are any water levels in Crash 2. I think those first appear in Crash 3. Which actually, I don't think there are water levels in Entranced. Maybe there are, but I don't think there are. That's interesting. But yeah, really, though, water levels, they really did not need to bring into this game. Because I think water levels kind of just suck in a lot of different games. There are a few games where they can be fun. I actually quite like them in Rystar. But for the most part, they're kind of terrible. Because it just ended up being so slow, and sometimes, like, really confusing, like, Blue Marine and Sonic Blast. But in the Crash Bandicoot games, they're generally just kind of boring. And that's very true for this game. You kind of just move in a straight line and occasionally spin. I don't have to do anything bothering with the 100% of this game. I don't have to get any of the gems or any of the relics or anything. I do, however, need to get the crystals. And usually they railroad you into getting the crystals, so it shouldn't be a problem. But you do need all the crystals to beat the game, which is why they railroad you into getting them. You usually can't avoid them. But that's relevant in a couple levels where you do need to purposefully make sure you are getting each crystal. Because in that previous level, I had to specifically jump to get the crystal. Had I just kept sliding, I would have missed it. And there is a level later in the game where they kind of try and troll you by like putting these boxes you need to slam to get to the next area. But the crystal is right past that, so if you slam, then you're at a way lower level. And it's actually quite difficult to get back up and get the crystal. You can do it, though. They don't lock you out of getting the crystal. It's not like you need to redo the level. But it is a little difficult to get it. It's not this level, though. I actually don't really like this level. This level's a lot of waiting for moving platforms. Probably one of the weaker on-foot levels. Sometimes though you gotta know when you can just jump off and save a little bit of time by not waiting for the platform. There's a couple areas you can do it in, but there's also a couple that you can't. I want to say you can do it here. No, you can only do it there if you have an Aku Aku. That's honestly kind of what I thought, but... Oh, okay. Maybe you can do it with an Aku Aku. Again, it's been a while since I actually played this game. But it's probably the one I'm most familiar with of the Crash games. So it's gonna be one of the easier for me to get through. I would say at least of the actual platformer Crash Bandicoots. The three I'm most definitely absolutely going to do is going to be this game, Wrath of Cortex, and Crash 3. And then we'll have to see about some of the others. But if I can do Crash 3, then I can definitely do the Insane Trilogy remake of Crash 3. And then, honestly, I probably can do Crash 2. I don't think Crash 2 is very difficult. It'd be Crash 1 that I'm very uncertain of. I've never beaten Crash 1. And I don't know how difficult Crash 1 is. But maybe at least the Insane Trilogy version, because it's probably not as bad. But then I probably also will do... Entranced on Game Boy Advance as well. I'm not quite as familiar with Entranced. I've not beaten it nearly as many times as I've beaten this game. But Entranced is not that difficult of a game. I think there's like one boss that sucks, and then there's some auto-scrollers that are not fun to play. But as far as the actual game, I don't think it's anything I wouldn't be able just to brute force. Yeah, second boss, Engine. Which this boss is actually pretty fun, because it's... Yeah, it's technically an auto-scroller, but it still is based on how fast you beat him. You can determine the pace of the level. It's definitely way better to make sure the minigun is gone first, since that fires very quickly. And then get rid of these bombs as quick as possible, because the bombs do like 10 damage per hit. You definitely don't want to have those constantly spawning. Now we get the double jump. That's pretty much the halfway point. There's only 2 more worlds. I always forget about that polar bear at the very start. But this is the level. This is the, like, really, really difficult snow level. Yeah, I probably will be able to do Entrance. I don't think Entrance is... I don't think there's going to be anything too bad in Entranced. Now, the Entrance is... I still think Entranced is a good game. I just prefer this one. Because I'm more familiar with it, and... I think there's a few more levels that kind of suck in Entrance compared to this game. Like auto-scrollers and stuff. But yeah, this is the part that is really tricky. Just a bunch of these jumps where you don't have much time to react all in a row. Just obstacles everywhere. At least they do give you checkpoints, so it's not like you have to do all of it at once. But still. Yeah, you can kind of tell I kind of know, except for that one, I do kind of know the pattern for it, like how long I have to wait in between each jump. but I'm not quite as familiar with it as I used to be. And even just outside of the platformers for... Oh, also there's Twinsanity as well. I think Twinsanity's a bit longer because I'm not super familiar with the entirety of Twinsanity. I know kind of the early game, but not like the end of the game. I need to stop dying in the same spot. But I don't think Twinsanity's... Dude, I literally have a double jump and I'm not using it. That's the problem. Right, that's how you do that section. I knew it didn't make sense that I wasn't making that jump, because I remember always making it. But you wouldn't want to slide jump there, because you would get killed by this crusher. But yeah, then there's also the like spin-off Crash games. And I'm honestly really only familiar with the racing games. I don't really know Crash Bash or Boom Bang or Purple or anything like that. But I can definitely do I think all three racing games I can probably do. I've never played the original Crash Team Racing. I've only played Nitro Kart and Nitro Fueled. But considering Nitro Fueled is a complete remake, at least its story mode is a remake of Crash Team Racing's story mode, it should be kind of the same difficulty. But I think it's really only like the boss fights that can be tricky in the Crash Racing games. But I don't think it'll be that bad. And I do really like the Crash Racing games. I think Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is my all-time favorite racing game. But yeah, this is kind of the only part that isn't very good about these space levels. It's those... It's all these cycles you have to worry about. Like these needle guys, these platforms. And there's just one part in one of the later ones. I think it's the second space level. Or maybe it's this one. But there's a part where, like, just the cycles don't line up right. And so, like, just every time you try and make the cycle, it's one of these needle guys who are gonna be sticking out, so... You just have to keep going back and forth and hoping it'll line up to where you can actually progress. Yeah, so there are quite a few Crash games to do. I think the Crash games are a very good series. Especially these, like, older ones, where it's only like 5 worlds, 5 levels per world, and then a boss fight. Because they really don't take that long. I think, though, for Nitro Kart and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, the only thing I kind of don't remember about those games in the way of, like, how to beat them is I don't know how much you actually need of, like, the collectibles. Because I know it's like you beat the race normally and you get the trophy. If you beat the race normally, you get the trophy. then you can do the time trial to get the relic, and you can do the CTR challenge to get the token. But I don't know if you can beat the game just with all the trophies, or if it's like you need... like you need a certain number of collectibles to progress. But yeah, this is the part, if you just slammed there, you would miss the crystal, but it is possible to get back up. I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe it's because this block's here. Oh yeah, I think... No, maybe not. Maybe you can't get back up here. No, you can. I've done it before. Yeah, you can. You just have to slide, hug the wall, and double jump. And, like, constantly be holding right. This part can be kind of annoying, though, because there are a lot of enemies that will shoot as soon as they come on screen. If you're going too fast, you might end up getting hit by a lot of them. See, I didn't even see him start shooting. The bullet was just already on its way. Oh gosh, another one of these levels. And there's one more after this as well. There's one in, World 4. I don't remember how the jetpack levels really are that much in Crash 2. I do know there's one, at least one, in Wrath of Cortex that's pretty fun. Because I like Wrath of Cortex a lot, too. I don't get the hate for that game. I feel like there are too many people that can't appreciate a good game because every game has to be the best ever, you know? And so, like, oh, this game is not as good as Mario World. They're about 2D platformers. Shouldn't a 2D platformer live up to the standard of my favorite 2D platformer? No, it doesn't. It just needs to be a fun game. And like, yeah, this level sucks. I'm not having fun with this level. Definitely that's a flaw with the game. But, for the most part, it is just a fun game. I just have fun playing it. And that's all I want from a game. Just that the game's fun. That's why I like Nitro Kart a lot as well. Because it's just a fun racing game. I'm also not really super familiar with Crash 4, so I probably won't be doing that one, because I don't know how long Crash 4 is. With it being more of a modern game, I imagine it's got like a billion levels instead of the 30 a lot of the other Crash games have. 30 if you include the boss fights, 25 if you just count the normal levels. This game only has 25. No, 24, because there's only one boss per war. So it'd be 6 levels per war. So yeah, 24 levels in this game. And then I don't know how many are in Entrance, because Entrance doesn't use the warp system that a lot of the other Crash games used, and instead has a world map. which is kind of actually really lame in Entranced. Because it just limits the levels you can play at any time. Instead of having a choice between 5 levels, you often only have a choice between 2 levels. And then, like, still, like, you can get to where it looks like there's branching paths. So you would think, oh, that means there are a lot of different ways that I can get to the end of this world. But no, you have to beat every level, so it's like, I don't get what the point is. Yeah, the tiny fight's actually kind of fun, even though it does just boil down to doing this. Okay, I did not know that pushed you. That was weird. Yeah, it does kind of just boil down to moving platforms, but yeah, I feel like this is the level, though, that has the really annoying cycle. And then these guys also have their cycles. But to be fair, you can always kill these guys. It's just if they're open, you have to bounce on them. If they're closed, you have to spin them or slide into them. Where the needle guys, if their needles are poked out like that, the only way to kill them would be to damage boost through them. Yeah, it's kind of the gist of the space levels, is just a bunch of cycles with not only enemies, but also these platforms. I guess the UFO guys technically also have cycles, considering it's on a cycle when they shoot their lightning, but you can most of the time just jump into them and kill them, so it's never like you're dependent on what cycle they're on. I really wanted to keep that Aku Aku. And it's also fine not to break those nitros. It's not gonna affect anything. Oh no, I guess it's not. It's either not this level or I just skipped it. Or it didn't affect me. I don't like how some of these levels they put enemies right at the beginning so you'll run into them. That's the second level that they've done that. Probably the last level too, because I mean there's, let's see, there's what, 4 more levels in the game? What are all of them? There's the last space level, the last airship level, this last water level, and then what's the last one? Is it a sewer level? I feel like it's a sewer level, because it's not a snow level. We're done with all those. I don't think it's a jungle level. I think there's no more of those. Can't be another space level because there's only 2 space levels in this world. I think it's a sewer level. So there's no other level themes, right? So it would have to be a sewer level. I could hit that. Yeah, I should, just so I don't have to damage boost. I thought that was for a later thing in the level. Oh, it is a sewer level. Oh no, I remember what level that is. I completely forgot about it, dude. It's drip, drip, drip. Drip 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 is kind of an infamous level, similar to the Last Snow level. Dude, I was gonna say earlier that I thought all the sewer levels were really fun, but no, I just remembered Drip Drip Drip. Because there is definitely some things in that level that make it not the most enjoyable experience. Also, these guys, I mean, like, with them moving back and forth, that doesn't add anything to making the level longer. I've always meant to, like, count up the auto-scrollers in this game, like how long do they take, and compare that to Pac-Marine in Pac-Man World 2. Like, time-wise, is it the same? And then, if they are, which is no way it is, right? Pac-Marine's 8 minutes. These gotta be like 2 minutes each, which would be a total of 6 minutes. There's no way they're much longer than 2 minutes, I don't think. But what would be worse? One 8-minute auto-scroller? Or 4 2-minute auto-scrollers that are basically the same? Because I honestly would kind of lean towards... I think the multiple auto-scrollers is worse. Just because when I think about replaying the game, and I think about everything that's in the game, if I think about one really long auto-scroller, I'm still just thinking about one level. But if I'm thinking about 4 auto-scrollers, I might be less interested in playing if it feels like there's just way more of the thing I don't want to do. Oh gosh, a checkpoint. It just keeps going. This one's really long. I felt like the second one was actually shorter than the rest, though. Like, noticeably shorter. Sometimes these boosters will actually give you health. I don't know if it's dependent on, like, how much Wumpa fruit you get. Because, see, that one just put me from 78 to 98. So I don't know if it's, like, the Wumpa fruit's what's healing you, or if just some specific ones are programmed to heal you. But making those dash panels as easy to get as they are, I mean, it's still an auto-scroller. It doesn't change the fact that, like, it doesn't really speed anything up because they're so easy to get. It's not like you're gonna miss them, you're gonna hit all of them, so it's still the same time every time. That should be it, though. There's never more than 3 of these in one of these levels, I don't think. Oh gosh, drip, drip, drip. How did I forget about drip, drip, drip? This is what makes drip, drip, drip such a pain. It's these surprise frogs that come out of nowhere. And you get to where if you try and play this level fast, you're going to get hit by these frogs over and over and over. Shouldn't be really that bad. Because again, I have played this game so many times, I should know the basic gist of where the frogs are. So as long as I play it like a little safe, I shouldn't spend too long on this level. But that's kind of what makes this level infamous, is these frogs are just so hard to dodge because you, like, can't see them. Like, they don't come on screen quick enough for you to actually have time to react to them. And that's really this game's biggest issue, other than just some of the levels not being fun, is since the screen is so small, and the objects are the way they are, like size-wise, a lot of things just appear on screen way too quickly for you to really be able to react to them. Dude, I'm surprised at how much I actually remember where all these frogs are. The one time I got hit by a frog was not because I didn't know where it was. Alright, that was not bad at all. If I had tried to be really fast, that would have been a problem, because I would have had to have been trying to hit them rather than being able to just stop before I got to them. But yeah, this is the level that has the really terrible cycle. It won't matter if I can keep an Aku Aku till that point, but we'll have to see. I don't remember how far into the level it is. It might be right here, actually. Nope. Normally, if I were trying to actually do a speedrun, I would be damage boosting through those. But no reason to. Oh, it's right here. This is the cycle. Get on this platform, and this guy is, like, always trying to bring his spikes out as soon as you can jump. But you have to jump there. You can't wait because that platform's gonna tilt over. I guess if I didn't double jump, I'd probably make it just fine, but that's a scary jump to not double jump on. And then if you go back, his cycle is going to reset, and he's probably going to be at the exact same cycle every single time you get there. So unless you have an Aku Aku, it's just a really, really awkward jump. And a notably awkward one too, because I remember it. Like, it stands out as the defining feature of this level. Alright, final boss. This is probably my least favorite boss in the game, just because it's kind of long, and it can be kind of tricky sometimes. Not too tricky, but just if you die, you restart the whole fight. It can get a bit intense. But pretty much each phase only changes with the pattern he's shooting his laser in. Pretty easy for the first two. It's the third one that's a little awkward. But it still really just is not that bad. And that's done. Huge adventure in 43.93. I actually need to check my PB. I don't think that's actually much longer. I think I had a 42 something. So that's like only a minute lost. I mean, maybe I had a 41. I don't remember. But, I mean, that was kind of clean. There were a few deaths here and there. And some, like, not getting as many Aku Akus. But, I pretty much just beat every level first try. Had only very few deaths. Actually, kind of a clean run. Obviously not perfect and not, like, insanely fast. But for a game I have not played in a while, and just coming in and doing a run through. Kind of a clean run. Yeah, so that is 20 games done in 8 days.